There you
There
go.
we go. Yeah, welcome. Hey, everybody.
Hey guys.
Hey, thanks for joining. We are live. How many people do we got on right now, Richie?
It says right there, I think 3. Oh no, that's a studio
That's
chat.
us. Yep. Yep. All right.
Oh, that's
So,
the one thing is you can't see the other side.
yeah, exactly.
Nope, only the host gets to see the actual full stats of the show.
Yeah, the comments though I can see. There's a bunch of people in comments. Hey everyone.
Yeah, well, welcome. Welcome to the show. We're recording tonight, so for those of you joining us later, thanks. But I've got JD here. We're going to be talking about not his series called Nocturne, which I finished last night. Yeah, it was a good read.
You could have
So
just winged it, man. I wouldn't have cared.
yeah, no, I I have read every single book so far. So hey,
What do you
it's
mean you
been
read all 5 Nocturne?
no, everybody I've interviewed, I've read their
Oh,
books.
you read the first
Yeah.
book of their series. I was like, man,
Yeah.
that's way too much commitment if you're
No,
going to try to read that.
that would be a lot. Yeah. So for those of you who have not read Nocturne, it is a post-apocalyptic lit RPG. The first book is called Umbral Savage. Our main character, Gideon Show, is on. It starts out he's like at a vendetta against government corruption that's allowed human trafficking and some specific corrupt figures.
Yeah, he's an FBI agent after doing. I mean, there's more to his kind of origin story than that. But by the time that right before the system lands, he's like an FBI agent, and they basically the HRBT. I forget. It's been a while since I wrote that. Basically, the elite of the FBI who they bring in for investigations and stuff like that. It's kind of like the SWAT of the FBI. Like when SWAT actually can't handle it, they bring in this group. They bring him in only at the end to basically raid. They finally find the warehouse where the women are being kept. They've been the regular FBI investigation team has been investigating this trafficking ring for several years, and they finally find the location, the warehouse where the women are being kept and where everything had been getting run out of.
Yeah.
And he leads the team to take the warehouse, secure the office, secure the files that'll basically be the proof. But yeah, it ends up being there's a senator. There's like a senator's at the central part of funding it all and had been using all the money he'd been making off this trafficking ring to fund his political career. So, and then it's weird because I don't want to get too much details, but yeah, we
don't want to give it away. So.
Yeah, he basically a lot of shit happens. He decides to basically get vengeance. And as he, in the midst of this, all of a sudden is when the system arrives.
Yep. Yeah. So, so the system arrives, and we're flung into a whole different framework in which he's still kind of seeking vengeance. He's got this choice. So,
I enjoyed that premise though, because I was like, I thought it was something different when it came into my head of like he's going through all of this shit way before the system arrives. And literally is in the middle of almost finishing it off, when literally all of a sudden system initialized.
Yeah, and then So, but it's interesting. So this series, this book in particular, covers a wide range of topics that I haven't talked about yet with any of the authors. We just haven't read a book. I haven't read a book and interviewed an author like this. We've got tropes that we haven't discussed, including like grimdark themes, romance. We have an animal companion that shows up in here, and so yeah, let's get into it. So first,
there's a lot of lit RPGs that have animal companions, but I remember you making a statement of you don't think, and I agree with it, that there's a lot of lit RPG that doesn't really deal with romance.
Yeah, I'm specifically talking about just my interviews pre-con. We haven't talked to anybody with a romance theme or a grimdark or something like that yet. So you're the first. So JD, I just want to make sure that how do you wish everybody to JD. Do we call you JD? Do we call you Mr. Glasscock?
Yeah, that's what I go by. I mean, it's
JD.
just my initials, Jonathan
Okay.
Dean.
Yeah. Okay.
So
So
it's my real name, guys. It's not a pen name. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
literally, I was born with Glasscock, and I've been using JD since I was like 18. So,
Yeah.
and it's tied. Some people at first said I should use a pen name, but I'm like, you guys, I've done a bunch of film. I've done a bunch of other stuff that's all tied to that name. So that would be kind of stupid of me to change my name and not have all of that meshed into one brand. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Makes sense. All right. So JD, you've got 5 series out. 2 of them are active. And it sounds like Nocturne and Born are your 2 active series. Yeah.
Yeah, the other 3 unfortunately made no money, man. And when you're a working, I'm like a low mid author, so I make enough money to live on, which is beautiful and blessed. But I'm barely above that, so I cannot afford. Unfortunately, I love all my stories, but I cannot afford to keep writing a series when it's making literally no money. I literally can. And people say, "Well, wrap it up." I'm like, my worlds are so massive and huge that on all those series I didn't finish, it would take me at least 2 full-length novels to wrap it up.
Yeah.
And so I don't have time. It takes me 2.5 months to write a novel, man. I can't take 6 months of my making no money to wrap up hopefully someday my brand will get big enough where all my series will be popular and I can go back and finish those. But
yeah, I mean, I think people forget that, authors are also trying to make money, and it's a business at the end of the day. And a lot of times, how long a series is, or, if you continue it or not, a lot of times that's a business decision. So,
yeah, I know authors, I won't drag their names out, but I know authors that didn't finish several series under one name. So all they did is they went and created a new pen name. So they didn't have to listen to any flack.
Yeah.
And they just basically abandoned the other pen name.
Yeah.
And moved on. You know what I mean? But
yeah. You can't do that using your real name. So
no.
Yeah. Well, the series that I checked out, they seem to be all have this kind of grimdark tag to them. Is that your wheelhouse? Is that kind of what you
yeah,
feel
it's the same way I write film. It's the same way I wrote poetry. It's the same way I wrote lyrics, like as far as my background. I just I write as realistic as possible within the confines of the worlds I create. You know what I mean? So I believe in reality. I believe that reality doesn't have a filter, that it's raw, it's heavy, and it's not grim dark can be just as beautiful as it is dark. You know what I mean? So what I just deal with is raw passion, raw everything. So like the love and beauty of it is just as raw as the dark and grim. You know what I mean? So, and I think that only within that filter or lack of filter does that beauty and awesomeness stand out as much, you know what I mean, as does the grim and the dark.
Yeah.
If you're kind of trying to stay safe in this little Disney cookie cutter box, I don't think anything really hits as hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating because you've got romance and grimdark, and you have these moments that the main character is really connecting with other people. He wants to protect them. He's got this love interest that he immediately feels.
Yeah, they got a lot of flack from that,
Yeah.
from the people that want just the action porn.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
like
I think it works.
I'm sorry, man. In real life, there is like romance. There is like caring. There's family. There's connections. I don't know what you want me to, even with hard-edged people, like people with military backgrounds have gone through a lot, whatever, there's still emotions. They're not robots. They're humans. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's dive into it a little bit. Gideon Show, the main character, is a combat expert, and he's trained by his dad in martial arts for part of his childhood, and then he has some military background. He's in the FBI. Do you have a background in fighting? And if not, where did you draw, from for your fight scenes and for,
I mean, I did take martial arts when I was young, in my late teens, early 20s. Originally, the first teacher I went to was judo and taekwondo, although I didn't really like the taekwondo. Taekwondo is very offensive oriented. It's about beginning fights. It's very like throwing a lot of kicks, throwing a lot of punches. But I was fascinated with the judo aspect of it because that's more my speed, reactive, taking aggression towards you and turning it back around, stuff like that. But also I just read, man. I've been a loner all my life, so literally my childhood was escaping constantly. Like a lot of artists, I had a very troubled childhood. So my escape was whether it be with my Star Wars figures and escaping into my head, creating massive worlds. And I'm talking like even as a little kid, I had overplots and underplots with all my Star Wars figures, or I was watching films, or I think I started reading when I was about 5 or 6. And so from then till now, 2-3 books a week, chewing through them, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and then when I got a little bit older, D&D, and then I really didn't have any to play with. So I would sit there and get every Palladium, get Warhammer role-playing, buy every role-playing system there was out there, read all the world creation mythos, gods, goddesses, create like 30 characters, and then run all these plots and stories and scenarios in my head and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, no, that's great. It makes sense.
I mean, I think it's just imagination. I mean, yes, I do have some fighting experience, but I think it's also just visualizing and imagination. I think also being a filmmaker helps in that arena, because when you're writing film scripts, you have to, it's all visualization, because whatever you're writing has to be shown on a camera. So when you're doing fight scenes and you're writing fight scenes in a film, you're having to block them, break them down into every single movement and how you're going to shoot that movement.
Mm-hmm.
So when I finally moved to, I mean, I've been writing for 30 something years, but I only started writing novels like 3 years ago. Before then, it was like poetry, then film, poetry, then music, and then film. And then 3 years ago is when I decided, I was so tired of the film industry that I was like, what can I write that only requires me?
Yeah.
I don't have to rely on anyone else, and then I can finally actually make some money on. And then I'm like, dude, I read like 2 or 3 novels a week.
There's a lot of people that do.
When I made that decision, I had already been absorbed into lit RPG for like almost a year at that time. Mm-hmm. I think the first one I read was Vidrar's Dragon Mage, and that just sucked me in. And it's unfortunate because I have actual like traditional published fantasy writers. I'm actually John Gwynn and several of them, and they got mad at me because I stopped reading all their books, because I just wanted to
you fell down the lit RPG hole.
It's almost like it's very. I think I've read maybe 3 in the 4 years I've been reading lit RPG. I've maybe read 4 books that weren't lit RPG.
Yeah, I hear you. I think that's probably true for a lot of us. Is once we found lit RPG, it was hard to read anything else. So, yeah. Well, Broken Joker has a comment. He just says, "I love how you integrated them together for this series. I thought it was a nice balance with all of the components." And BJ, I think that was
romance and grimdark and beauty and all that kind of stuff.
I think so. Yeah. Yep.
I do that with like literally everything, man. So I mean, like you'll see the same thing in my films. Like I don't write Disney. I write grim, heavy. My short films are very different than my feature films, because short films, you got like 8 to 10 minutes and you want to win shit. You know what I mean? You want to win awards and shit like that. So, and if you don't have a big budget, you can't do action. And like all my features are like some thematic of action. Like I'm all about kinetic energy. So all of them are like, I have a Western, I have a sci-fi, I have a post-apocalyptic, I have a female mafia-driven one, which will be the first one. I think next year is we're going to finally shoot my first feature, which that's the one of my 5 feature scripts. That's the one we're going to go with. It's my lowest budget one. It's a female mafia-driven. But even within that, and this is where I always try to tell people, even and this is having to do with novels as well. Even within action, even with something action heavy, you can still have character development, character connections, layers, depth, overplots, underplots. You can still do all of that without sacrificing anything else and still have a lot of action. So I hate when people try to define it as like, oh, it's either a character study or it's an action. You know what I mean? No, you can do all of it.
Yes.
Under one coven. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. I mean, the action is flashy and stuff, but if you don't have that substance below it, it doesn't.
Well, then what meaning is there? Like I always try to say, I'm going to always try to avoid ever writing the stormtrooper that just says, okay, move along. You know what I mean? Like if there's someone speaking, then they're going to have some kind of backstory and a little fleshing out, even if they die the next chapter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm going to spend a moment to flesh out some of their motivations and their background. You know what I mean? Because otherwise there's no meaning to them. Like if they die the next chapter, who the fuck cares? Because they were just someone that had like 3 lines of dialogue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, not that there's not, massive creatures that die all the time, but they usually, if they have dialogue in my books, then there's going to be some fleshing out.
So do you do a lot of like backstory, writing that doesn't make it into the novels, or like blocking out?
No, dude, I'm from the hip, bro. I write, I make it up all as I go, besides the overarching plots. Like I know in this book, I got these things got to happen. I just wrote book 2 of Warborn, and I knew at the end there was going to be a dungeon. I knew the ending. If anyone that's read the ending, I knew the ending when I started. But I made up everything else as I went along.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I just work better that way. It's the same way I write feature scripts. Now, there's a couple times with feature scripts I have broken it down and outlined it. And it's interesting to do it that way. I just find that when you do it the way I do it, you find wonderful branches that you wouldn't have found if you had just dissected it and broken it all beforehand. You know what I mean? Like you find yourself making a deep right curve that ends up being beautiful,
Yeah. It's a theme that I've encountered with these interviews with authors. I think every single one of them got to this point where they were like, at the end of the day, sometimes the characters just have control of the moment, and you end up in these side quests or this different spot that you didn't plan, and it ends up being great. So that's part of
I don't know how
process.
when I hear authors saying they're writing 2 or 3 different series at the same time, I don't get it, because to me, if I tried to do that, all the characters would start sounding like the same character.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where to me, and I've had this problem with authors, I've read a lot of their books, is as they go further into their different series, it's like, and as authors, we all have a style, so there's going to be a certain similarity between different series because of your style, but the characters should still be distinct with their own personalities. And what I found several times was these authors, all their MCs started like sounding like the same MC, man.
Yeah.
I'm like going, wait a minute. I mean, I love your writing, but holy fuck, this is your 3rd series, and they're all kind of going at the same time, and all of your MCs are sounding like the exact same fucking person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everything. And I'm like, and there'll be a little bit of that just because a writer has a style, but each one should have a very distinct flavor.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I write one book at a time, and that's what I focus on until I get that book done. But I know you had a bunch of questions, so let's get back onto your outline.
Let's get them. So let's talk about Nocturne specifically. One of the things that kind of set it apart for me in that grimdark kind of way is that your main character Gideon is he's not morally gray. He's not like a in between. Yeah, he's got this vengeance storyline, but it's kind of like the vengeance for all the right reasons, right? And what one of the challenges for him is he's got this vengeance plot line, and he's got these people that he's kind of invested in, right? And he has to
just
choose
didn't walk
between
by when they were like in need. You know what I mean?
exactly, yeah, right.
You know how much shit
yeah.
I got for that, dude? Like people went, "Oh, I've had so much shit of like this character started out so badass, and then all of a sudden he's getting wrapped up in all this emotion." I'm like, no, man, he's the same guy.
Yeah.
From the very beginning.
Yeah, the guy that makes the choice to
his
go on this
flashbacks to
vengeance
his
streak.
parents and how important his parents were to him. His flashbacks of why he started the whole vengeance kick of the women that were vulnerable. Like, even though he's all business, violent, all those kind of things, he showed from the first steps that he had a moral boundary and empathy that he would that moral boundary is based on, that he would not relent on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think it's back to the action porn guys that want you basically the MC to be emotionless, don't give a fuck about anybody, and just kill a bunch of shit. You know
murder
what I mean?
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, murder hobo routine.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. I appreciated the fact that he had this kind of moral background and that he wasn't just murdering everything in his way. He has choices. He cares about people. He chooses those people.
Well, and he was defined by his parents. Even with the small flashbacks that he has of his parents, you see that his father and mother were both good people. You know what I mean? And they defined him with that. He had a horrible childhood, and his uncle was kind of a mess, but you know what I mean? But like you can tell that his parents instilled, the flashbacks tell you that his parents believed, like especially his father with the whole martial art thing, believed in honor and
discipline.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Absolutely. All right, so let's move on to Lasana. So she's the romantic counter to Gideon. She's also a badass. Yeah, she's also a badass warrior as well, and a good partner. They work together in the world.
And as a series, people always want things right then and there, and so they don't understand Lasana, like her contradictions and her. But if you read the series, I throughout the series, I do more and more flashbacks of her history and what led her to being who she was. It's like they want all of that at once, and I'm like, bro, that's not how. Especially when it's not the MC, that's not how characters work. Nor would it have as much meaning if I just info dump. I have to info dump to a certain degree with the MC because I'm trying to establish the MC, but with the other characters, I especially his love interest that's going to stay with him, I got to kind of trickle it in. You know what I mean? And it's not even until book 4, book 5, where you actually get the reasons why she was almost suicidal when he first meets her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I really like that it's obvious that there's a spark between them, but they don't go for it right away. Like you have this relationship that builds throughout a bunch of action and them caring about this group of people and stuff that they get wrapped up in. But she's got, even in book 1, you can tell that she's had a really hard life, and it just nothing healthy would come from the two of them hooking up right away. So I think you do that well too.
Yeah, well, she was a slave soldier. You know what I mean? Like her world is basically a really hardcore feudalism. You know what I mean? Where you have like nobles, and then you have the shit stains that are the peasants that basically are slaves. Which is the reality of back then in feudal times as well. They call them serfs, but really they're slaves.
It's a pretty harsh world that she comes
lord
from.
can walk in any time and do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Looks like we've got some Lasana fans out there. So anybody have any questions?
Kat,
Kat and BJ. So go ahead and put some questions in there. We'll get to your questions too. While you're thinking,
I love all my characters in all my books, but as far as Nocturne, I think Lasana, especially as the series progresses, I think they balance each other out very well.
Yeah.
Because she always wants to crack jokes and fuck around, and he's super serious.
Yeah.
But he needs a little bit of that levity, and she needs a little bit of that serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that she's a little treasure goblin too. It's
Let's
just
see the what?
she's just a little treasure goblin. She just wants.
Oh yeah, the loot mistress.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was a good decision on his part to give her Ari,
Mm-hmm.
because they're perfectly matched. Ari and the whole princess vibe. And that's another thing is as the series progresses, you also get flashbacks into Ari's past, which also had a lot of trouble and problems, which you can kind of get from her with her whole attitude to begin with. I'm a princess, but
Yeah.
you can tell there's like layers there that like she's not talking about, that the princess thing is kind of a front.
Yeah.
But can you imagine if because I at one point when I was first writing that I was going to have her be Gideon's familiar, and then I'm like, that makes no sense, dude. He's like been a loner all his life. He's not the type of guy that would choose to have a familiar. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, he gets one anyway, kind of, but the dynamic between him and Freddie is a lot different than Ari and Lasana. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like that you gave Ari to Princess Lasana, or sorry, Princess Ari to Lasana instead of to Gideon. I think it's a good move because to your point, that personality wise they match a bit better. So,
well, and also because he's looking at he's always been good alone, but he can tell that of many things that are bringing Lasana down, her loneliness is probably the biggest one. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
Some people are built to be by themselves or be okay by themselves, and some people are not.
Yeah.
And Lasana, he could see it in her that her loneliness was one of her biggest chains. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, let's go move to the next question. Can you? So, the title of the book is Umbral Savage. Can you talk a little bit about what that is? It's
Well,
part
that's
of
the
Gideon's
class
build.
he chooses.
Yeah.
And so it's a very, very powerful rare class. So when these people first get sucked into the system does an analyzation. You see all these different, there's like, I think 6 foundationals pillars. And the first thing they see is the 6 foundational pillars and what their affinity is with it. And these foundational pillars are just basically a concept. And then underneath that are sub pillars that are more where your class is going to be. But the foundationals are like profane, celestial, fae, or she, mystical, a bunch of those things. And you see your affinities. And so then you have to choose which foundational pillar you're going to be under. And usually people are going to choose off their affinities. But the problem is when you see all that, it's basically taking all the affinities of the sub-pillar and finding an average. So there could have been a higher affinity under another one you're never going to see. But because maybe everything else, every other sub-pillar under that foundational is shit.
Yeah.
The one you're seeing under the foundational affinities are misleading. You know what I mean? But he ends up going with the profane, even though he has some kind of moral qualms about something called profane, evil sounding. But he ends up having like such an insanely high affinity that his personal assistant AI at the time, Frederick, who he calls Freddie, says, no, seriously, go with that one. So then he chooses that one. And then all of a sudden they get to see the sub pillars, like in profane, it's like grave, umbral, which is shadow and night and stuff like that. Infernal, there's like 5, I think. Chaos. And he sees that his affinity for umbral is like 100%, which is insane, which like is literally out of all the integrations the system has done, people with even a lot of gods don't have 100% affinity.
Yeah. It's off the charts.
Yeah, so he ends up that ends up being his soul pillar, which is so his foundational is profane, his soul pillar is umbral. And then he gets, once you go through all this is all the integration, like when you get integrated into the system. And then after that, you get to choose a class. Although there's a step skip there. The first thing that happens is called the proving. And this is where a lot of humanity dies, because basically they're taking everybody, they're shoving a goblin or the equivalent of kobold, whatever the fuck it is, a little level 1 fucker, giving you some kind of shitty ass weapon and saying you have to prove yourself to even be entered into the system, and you're not even in the system yet, and now go kill the fucking goblin.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? So the system's kind of an asshole. I mean, if you read my series, you understand the concept. But so Umbral Savage was the best rated thing, but he was also, which is the name of the book 1, which is the class he ends up picking. It was the most powerful, but also it fit him the best. Umbral Savage is basically a shock trooper. When you want a line broken, when you want, but it's in an Umbral way. So Umbral being night, shadow, whatever. So some of his skill sets are being able to like stealth,
yeah,
and stuff like that. So, but it's still a breaker of lines. It's like someone that's not going to do as well in a line fighting with people. It's one of those where your frontline soldiers are struggling against something like that, against the enemy, and you're like, hey, Umbral Savage, go hit their flank hard and kill their 2 or 3 leaders, and then they slip right back out. You know what I mean? And based on his mentality at the time, where that's kind of almost what he'd been doing with his hunting down of the senator and all the background stuff. He had been hunting these people down and like strategizing and slipping in, taking them out and leaving again. You know, so it fit his mentality in the moment. So that was what he chooses. And the first book is literally all about the tutorial and him getting a class and him meeting people and establishing the system and how it works and all that stuff. That's pretty much all of book 1.
Yeah. The fights, a lot of it's that stealth. He goes into stealth, he infiltrates, kind of does a stealth ambush, critical hit sort of situation.
Which is funny because it's the exact opposite of Lasana.
Yeah.
And her class is Spectral Reaver, which it's kind of in the name. It's like the think of a Viking Reaver. It's basically someone that literally up front in your face,
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you know, I mean, similar in a sense that Reavers are like hit, you know, like attack, don't hold the ground, take whatever they can, and then leave. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they're like fast assaults.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they're definitely frontliners. So even in class-wise, they actually kind of complement each other as well.
Yeah. Yeah, she does a lot of distracting for him.
Face and like use her claws and fuck shit up. And then he's more hitting at flanks and angles. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, so both Nocturne and the Nocturne series and the Warborn series are active. I think I heard you say, and I saw it in the Discord, that Warborn book 2 is coming out here soon. Is that a pre-order? What's next?
Warborn book 2 just came out like Thursday.
Okay.
And then I'm working on Warborn book 3.
Okay.
And I'm about, by the time I go to bed tonight, I'll be 10,000 words into it.
Okay.
And these are novellas, so literally they're only about 32,000. Like the first 2 were about 32,000.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to get to at least 17, 18 before I got to leave to Little RPG Con.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll wrap it up when I get back. I'll try to write it. I don't have a lot of, when I went to Jordan Con, I was like, oh, I'm going to get some writing done. I do not get any writing done.
There is no writing done at these cons.
Between panels and all that shit and going to other people's panels and networking, which is the whole reason we're there. I found no time to write. And now I'm going to try to write at least 1,000, 2,000 words and at least hit around 20,000 by the time I come back.
Mm-hmm.
So that way I can try to slip it out right before the end of the month, because you know how it goes, man. You want to get at least a few of those sales in before the end of the month. But it probably might not happen. It might not happen until like the 1st or something like that, 2nd of next month. And then I'll be able to, the cool thing, the reason I'm doing 2 in a row, Warborn, before I start Nocturne book 6, is so that because they're novellas, then if I have 3 of them, then I can throw them into an omnibus and then turn that omnibus into an audible.
Got it.
Because you can't make an Audible that's less than 10 hours, dude. I mean, it won't do anything. And
Yeah.
nor will you have a narrator that wants to do something that's less than 10 hours. You know what I mean? So the cool thing about Warborn is just as massive of a world creation, story, universe, plot as Nocturne. I just did not want to. There's no way I could write a novel and not screw up the whole scheduling of Nocturne being written. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, so you're fitting these
my
segments in.
solution to that, even though they're both going to be equally massive, my solution to that is to knock out little novellas for Warborn that I can hit out in like 2.5 weeks. It takes me about 2.5 months to write a Nocturne book. These Warborns, because they're like 130 pages, I can knock them out in like 2.5 weeks. And that way I can do it in between each Nocturne. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
that makes sense.
without screwing up too much of the schedule of coming out with new Nocturne books.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to understand, it hasn't even been a year since book 1 of Nocturne came out.
Yeah. So when is your next Nocturne? When are you planning on writing
It'll
that?
be
Is
out
that
before
after?
the end of the year, Nocturne book 6. And then this is the thing. Okay, so finally, Wayne quit being the narrator. It was a royalty share deal, and he's back up to being wanted so much, booked so much. He doesn't want to do any more royalty share, and I don't have $5,000 to pay him to do another one.
Yeah.
So I found a new narrator who's awesome, literally awesome. Like 20 years trained. He's not as big a name at all, but he's 20-year trained actor. Does like insane volume of variant voices and stuff like that. Does really cool. I already heard a little bit of snippets of what he's doing on book 5 of Nocturne. He does like sound effects and cool little
all
stuff.
the fancy stuff. Yeah.
But for several reasons, one of which is this: book 6 will be the last part of the saga of Nocturne Part 1. And then after book 6 is done, because there's something that happens in book 6 that's a natural pause moment at the end of book 6. I'm not going to reveal that. No. But it's a natural space. So then next year, there's going to be another 6-book series, Nocturne Saga Part 2, same characters, same everything. And it's going to be called Nocturne, the French word Deux, dude.
Yeah.
And then it's not the only reason whatsoever. I was going to plan on doing it anyway. But it'll make Nocturne Saga Part 1 a complete series. It'll be a complete 6. Then there'll be a second 6. Same characters, all that stuff. There's going to be a time jump, but the second 6, it'll also give that narrator a book 1.
Yeah, their own start. Yeah.
Yeah. And even though they're doing book 5 and 6 of this series, I wanted to give them a book 1. And that's not the only reason whatsoever. I was planning on probably doing it anyway. And I think it works better anyway, because like I said, I won't reveal it, but there's a natural conclusion to the first part in book 6. And I'm setting it up already. If you've read up to book 4, book 5, I've already been setting it up.
Yeah.
In those books. And then Warborn. So I'm going to do book 6, and then I'm going to do 3 more of Warborn, which took me about a month and a half. And then I'll start book 1 of Nocturne. And the other reason I started Warborn was because unless you have like a He Who Fights with Monsters, or you have like a monumental, massive success, the way you make money as an author, and most authors, including most literary RPG authors, is volume. You know what I mean? And
selling book 2 through,
Yeah,
6.
I mean, like if you look at Harmon Cooper, if you look at Jonathan Brooks, now they've had some series take off, but before those series took off, the way they are prolific as motherfuckers. Yeah. Sean Oswald, several of them. And they make a lot of money by sheer volume. They all have like 60 number of titles. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting here. I think what I just put out was my I'm on the 15th or 16th Warborn. So in 3 years, I've started as an author 3 years ago. So this is my 15th or 16th book with Warborn Part 2. It just came out. But by the end of next year, I want to be at 30.
That's a
And the
pretty
only way I'm
quick
going to do
pace.
that is
Yeah.
with the Warborns and the novellas and pumping up volume. So all you young authors out there, if you have a series that does well, great. But understand that most authors in lit RPG that make a living, most of them do it by sheer volume.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So don't get all fretted if you're serious. And another thing is my first 8 books didn't sell shit. But what I did do is I finally listened to the advice of several authors that I immediately helped me and supported me from the day one. Phoenix Gray, Don Chapman, several people that are very beautiful spirits that like helping everybody. And I ignored their advice and finally listened to their advice. They're like, JD, write to market. And a lot of people don't understand what that means. They think go copy someone. That's not what it means. Write to market means go find out what's popular within the genre you're writing. And in lit RPG, you're stoked because literally there's like 3 or 4 different thematics in lit RPG that are popular.
Yeah.
So it's not, you're not like really stuck with one.
Mm-hmm.
Go find out what's super popular, what's selling, what's everyone into, and then you do your version of that. Okay, so I define it like that because when I used to say just write to market, people thought I meant go fucking copy someone.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's not what that means. It just means you're taking the theme that's popular, like in this case with Nocturne, the whole post-apocalyptic, vast universe, gods interacting, all of that stuff, the whole cosmos, big giant universe with post-apocalyptic vibes, Primal Hunter, He Who Fights, all those ones that are in that thematic theme park, you know what I mean? And then I did my version of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it's good advice. It seems to be serving you well.
Book 1 came out, and it didn't blow up, but it in book 1 came out, and the first 3 months of book 1, I was making $4,000 a month. You know what I mean? Where I made like 150 a month with the 8 books before that.
Yeah, yeah.
So again, don't give up, you guys. Like, can you imagine if I, after 7 books, after 6 books, after 5 books, after 8 books, I said, oh, fuck it. I'm not making any money. You know what I mean? I'm making like $100 a month, $200 a month, $50 a month. You know what I mean? And if you took away all the cost of the art and all that shit, I was probably making almost nothing.
Yeah.
Luckily, I have an artist, and if you guys want to use him, I'll tell you who he is. He's done all my covers. He charges $30 for an ebook cover. He has it done within 3 days. Endless revisions. Beautiful guy. I finally listened to that advice, wrote to market, and I try to tell other friends of mine that are kind of doing what I did, which is doing their own avant-garde like things within lit RPG that are like way off the beaten path, very niche. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you're not trying to make a living and you just want to write books, do whatever the fuck you want. But if you're actually trying to actually make a career and a living, then what they said directly to me was, JD, when you're making millions of dollars, you can write whatever the fuck you want. Until that point, write to market.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to get the following. Once you get the following, I think, Matt, probably anybody will read whatever he gets.
Yeah, I mean, even Jez. So Jez recently did a book with like battle mechs or body, mechs. And normally that does not do well at all. It just doesn't. I love Dawn Chapman to death, but she does a lot of those, and they just don't sell very well. I mean, it's not like they don't sell at all, but they don't sell very well. It's very niche. He just did one, but he's got such a gigantic following, man, that he can get away with that.
Yep.
And he's still going to sell books of that. And that's what he wanted to do. That's what he felt a passion to do. And that's what he did. But he's in a position to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we've got one question from the audience. Do you prefer more science fiction or fantasy settings?
It's weird. So always call your shits fantasy. Okay. You start throwing out terms like sci-fi, you just pigeonholed. It's the same reason why I don't put Grimtark in my titles anymore. They're in the little blurb at the bottom, but I don't put them in my titles anymore. And I've had to learn by doing, you know what I mean? Like, there's not like you're literally when you most of us indies
there's no as much there's like so much advice out there for authors. It's hard to know what's real.
And we
so
don't
we're all just kind of making it up, right?
When we, you know, a lot of indie authors just start writing and putting out books, and they're really because all of my books have some sci-fi to them. But the one series where I called it a sci-fi, that was my lowest selling series, Dream. And I love that series. And the people that actually have read it, a lot of them love it too. But out of the gate, it didn't sell shit.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of that I think had to do with it. The cover was sci-fi looking. I even called it something like sci-fi lit RPG or whatever. So call it fantasy, but like even Nocturne, there's a foundational forge, and there are characters with sci-fi type shit. There's in He Who Fights, all of those. There's spaceships and
aliens and So, but what would you say you prefer writing? Do you prefer writing with more sci-fi
if you're
elements?
novels, like I said, all of my stuff has all of it in it. So you know what I mean? Like, and I'm about diversity. So obviously I wrote The Dream, which was inspired for me by Warhammer 40K. And so I love writing all over the place. Like if you look at my feature film scripts, I think I mentioned earlier, I have a Western, a sci-fi, a post-apocalyptic, a female-driven mafia film, a supernatural thriller. So I love writing everything, but there's a difference between loving writing everything and wanting to make money.
Yeah.
You know
That's
what I mean?
fair.
Like
so
when you're Stephen King, you can write whatever the fuck you want. When you're when you're Matt Dinniman, you decide you want to write a fucking cowboy novel about the cowboy wears a pink dress, then fucking go for it. You know what I mean? Because he can do it because he doesn't need the money. You know what I mean? Like, so, but for us, the reality out there, if you're trying to make a living, then stick with fantasy, label it. I don't even know if you need to label it. Like my Warborn, I just say a lit RPG novella, and then the omnibus is going to be say a lit RPG novel. I did label Nocturne. It says something like progression, fantasy, lit RPG.
Fantasy, yeah.
But don't pigeonhole yourself, man. Now, so you're not pissing people off. At the bottom of each of my descriptions, there's a little list of what they can expect in there: grimdark, horror, romance, because I was tired of hearing people bitch. So I put all that stuff there going. And if they say something, I'm like, dude, literally it was in the blurb, man. It literally was in the blurb of what you can expect to be in there. Wait, you should ask that question real quick because I know it was important to you in that little message you gave me on Discord, which you guys, I'm never on Discord. So I just literally, because I went to look at his message, I realized I had like 10 other messages, most of them from over a year old, from like Gildify.
Yeah.
And you guys hit me on Facebook. I'm always on Facebook. The last time I was on Discord until Lit RPG Con thing was up was Gildify, which is literally like
so that's one of the questions I was going to ask you is where can we find you on social? It sounds like Facebook is the place.
Facebook's the easiest place to get a hold of me, man. I have my phone on me all the time, and I have the Facebook app on it, so it'll pop up. Instagram, I'll get a notification. And just look for JD Glasscock. It's not hard, bro. You guys, I'm pretty sure I don't have a lot of competition.
Name wise,
in those realms. Someone said earlier they want to see my short films. It's on YouTube. If you just put JD Glasscock into YouTube, I'm sure at least one of my short films will pop up. If you want to make sure, you can put JD Glasscock short film, and I'm sure at least one will pop up, and then you can follow it back to I think I have like 12 or 13 short films up there. Yeah. The question that you wanted to know, and we kind of skipped past it because I was doing from the hip tangents to shit, is romance. That seemed like a big thing in Discord when you sent me that message that you never see it. It was cool. You want to talk about it. So what is it you specifically would love to know about having romance in lit RPG?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was pointing out that it's not something that we see that much, especially in kind of the grimdark, more kind of savage sort of lit RPGs. You don't have that romantic element that.
But even in He Who Fights, and a lot of them, man, it's like even the romance is there. It's almost like a cardboard cutout of romance. It's like a caricature of romance. It's like more about I might fuck that person. Yeah. Even though they don't write it like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of how the dynamic they're showing.
Yeah. It's more this like sweet sort of.
There's no actual deep emotion. There's actually no light flirting. There's no actual like realistic interaction between male and female, and the fumbling parts, the saying the wrong thing parts, the making an ass out of yourself parts, real life happens. Like I've had
it's either not there, or it's like they meet and they instantly fall in love and they're their partners forever and never have a problem. Like those are that's
there's
it.
No issues. Or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm like, what reality is that fucking movie from? You know what I mean? I'm like, because usually it's awkward as fuck, dude. Even someone that you can really connect with, there's awkwardness, especially in the beginning. There's like people were giving me shit about the interactions in book 1 between Lasana and Gideon. Say, well, he's this badass. It's in the military, dude. I already pointed out that he's been alone his whole life, so he's very confident in fighting and stuff like that. But he has almost no experience dealing with like feelings for a woman, and you know what I mean? And you're nervous. It doesn't matter how much of a badass you are. If you meet someone that you really care about, whether you're a guy that likes guy or a girl that likes girls or a traditional male, female, there's an awkwardness. No matter how confident you are as a person normally in life, when there's this connection and you don't have experience interacting with the opposite sex, and even when you do have experience interacting with the opposite sex, I've met guys that are suave, playboy type things, but I've known them long enough. When I saw them meet someone that actually moved them, they had to constantly remove both feet out of their mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because it wasn't an act anymore. It was the real thing. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and to me that adds dynamics, man. I mean, it's back to not writing a stormtrooper. If you want people to give a shit about when people die, or give a shit about when they're sad, or give a shit about, there has to be depth, you know. And you can write action and have character development and depth all at the same time. You can chew gum and rub your tummy in your head. I believe in you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like you can do all of those things. Now, there's nothing wrong. There are some series I've read. Awakened Savage. What was that one series? Savage something, and it's basically action porn all the way through. They like he keeps getting levels when they have sex with his main chick by using Kama Sutra type shit. I forget the name of it. Savage Awakening. Okay, good series, but it's pretty much action porn.
Yeah,
and it has its points. I read stuff like that too when I need a break from the more heavy depth type stuff. But to me, romance is an integral part of life. That's why I always laugh when Europe and US are almost the opposite. So US, you can, in a film, you can slaughter everything. You can show it all too. You can show decapitated heads. You can show fucking limbs blowing up, all that stuff. But how dare you show a titty?
Yeah.
I'm like, how backwards is that, dude? You literally don't give a shit whether your kids see heads blown off, limbs blown off, people like slaughtered left and right. But holy hell, God has no fury like a bare breast.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And Europe is the exact opposite. Europe is will crack down on you a little more if you're doing too much gratuitous violence, but could give a lot less shits about sex.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're almost at the hour. It's crazy how time flies. But I got a couple last just quick questions for you, JD. One, you're coming to Lit RPG Con next week. Where will people find you? Are you in panels? Are you going to be gaming? Where are you going to be hanging
But
out?
I like literally, I gotta be honest. Wait, hold on, private chat.
No, you're okay.
I literally got to be honest. I usually rely on Geneva to let. I
To
usually
let you know
ask her
where.
1,000
Yeah.
times, "What am I on again and doing, and where is it? What time is it again?" I usually like Jordan Con. I was asking her every day, like, "Okay, where am I today again, Geneva?" She's like, "JD, I sent you the schedule. Go look at it." I'm like, "Come on,
So
Geneva, you're
Geneva's
right
going to
there. I
have a
know
little
it's all on
pin
your
with your
phone, right
schedule
there."
to pin on you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, fair.
No, I know Saturday morning I'm doing the first thing. No, I'm sorry. Friday morning, the first thing. Though the thing I love about Lit RPG Con is the way they're doing it. So like 9 to about 1 at the most is all the panels and shit like that, and then noonish to about 3-ish, 4-ish is all the gaming, and then the nights are free for events, for like fun events.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah,
I
you can
mean? I
hang
think
out
they're
and get
planning on like,
food and yeah.
probably knowing them, probably like karaoke and drunken karaoke and shit like that on the nights.
Yeah.
Because we did Jordan Con and there was like some panels that were like 9 at night, 10 at night, and it's like a little nuts, man. To like you're at the event all day and you have to do a panel at 9:30, 10 at night that starts at that time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so the first Friday, I'm doing a workshop with several other authors where it's going to be cool because it's allowing fans to bring in all of their ideas for a book, and you get our help to help you hammer out creative ideas.
Nice.
So it's me and like 3 or 4 other authors, and basically all the fans get to literally pick our brains on their ideas and advice on creating worlds and systems and all of that kind of stuff. And then right after that, I'm doing at like 12 to 1. I don't know the details though, but I'm playing a D&D. I'm one of the authors that fans get to play a D&D game with for like 3 hours, level 6, and it's all drow.
Yeah.
And then Saturday morning, I'm trying to remember what it's about. I'm doing a panel. I'm on it with Alaron and like 3 or 4 other authors. I'm trying to remember what the hell the panel is on, man. I can't quite remember though what it's about.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'm doing not Sean Oswald, but Sean has his own. I'm trying to think. Hold on, I don't know. I'll have to get back to you, but it's his own video game. Video game is his own role-playing system. So an author created a role-playing system, and I'm going to be one of the authors on it, and then fans are coming in, and we're all going to test.
Going to do it together.
Author's role-playing system.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like it's going to be fun.
I'm trying to remember who it was, but
yeah. Well, that's fair. It sounds like you got panels, you got games. You're going to be around, so folks can come up.
Yeah, the Sunday I'm open, which is nice, dude. I mean, you never know with Geneva. She might drag me onto something on Sunday because someone got sick or someone took drunk karaoke way too seriously. So you never know. But Sunday I have open, which I think is nice because the way they have everything scheduled, it's basically I can't see any other panels because they have them all running at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so you don't get to see anybody else's panels or anybody else's stuff because we're all at the same time and we're all locked into our own. You know what I mean? So Sunday will be nice because I'll be able to go and finally watch other people's panels and other people's stuff as an audience member. So that's a disadvantage of the way they're doing it. So the cool thing about the one good, like all things, positive and negative, the one good thing about the way Jordan Con did it is you had a lot of space to go see other people's panels and go support them. This one, the way they're doing it is they got to probably have 5 rooms, 6 rooms all going at the same time.
Yeah, a lot of crossover.
And it's literally we're all locked into our things. Like the first day, that workshop, normally panels are an hour. That workshop I'm doing on the Friday is like 3 hours long.
Yeah.
And then I'm going from that to the gaming, the D&D session.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So some people will be able to do it because their panels are like an hour. But the workshops are like 3 hours, dude. So my Friday, I'm doing that workshop, and then I'm going directly from that. I might have like a half hour, 45 minutes to go do the D&D role-playing session.
Yeah. Well, we're at the hour, so I have one last quick question. We do this thing called recommend a book. So is there a book that you would recommend for Pop?
That's an easy one. One of my favorite in Lit RPG. I mean, if you're saying Lit RPG, if it's outside of Lit RPG, it would be First Law Trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. He's like one of the best writers in fantasy, period, and stop. He was heavily influenced by David Gemmell, if you know who that is. But if you're talking Lit RPG, Plum Parrot's Victor of Tucson.
What was that again? Victor of Two Souls?
Victor of Tucson, like Tucson, Arizona.
Tucson. Victor of Tucson. Got it.
Because that's literally where the character's from, Tucson, Arizona, and then he gets sucked into a system fantasy world. So it's like a portal fantasy. But Victor of Tucson by Plum Parrot, who I think is probably one of the best Lit RPG writers out there. He has another series, and he'll be at Lit RPG Con. And he has another series also called Electric Dreams, I believe. It's also beautiful series, and it's more cyberpunk. And that one is a female MC, the Electric Dreams. And then the one I suggest both, but the one I'm referencing now is Victor of Tucson, and this newest just came out. I literally have it on my TBR, but we were talking about this earlier on the Lit RPG Con Discord. It is so hard for me to get through book. I read 2 or 3 books a week, and my TBR list never gets smaller.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I feel bad because I almost can't read, even though authors I meet that are nice. I'm like, bro, I have so many authors I already read, and they all come out with their books so fast.
Yeah.
That it's literally, I mean, when you talk about a genre where books come out every 3 months.
Yeah.
And
it's a lot.
You have like 30 authors that you're reading or 35 authors that you're reading. You know what I mean? So it's always pick and choose. Like right now I'm reading the second book to 1% Lifesteal.
Yep.
And as soon as I finish this, though, I have a full list to read, but several of those are all my friends that I absolutely adore their series. So I have a hard choice because I never pick until I'm done with the current book, and then I go look and go, which one do I really like? Like I still have Jez's last 2 or 3 books on my TBR to read, which are like the last few of the his Mankind series, and I love that series. But I'm like, authors keep coming out. They're like my favorite like series, and their next books keep popping up, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, it never gets smaller. Like,
well, that's part of the challenge, and we're filling up Pop's TBR.
I don't do Audible. I mean, it seems like people that do Audible can just like throw them on in the background and went, oh yeah, I've already done 10 this week. I'm like, holy hell, are you actually listening to that shit?
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. It's been great catching up and getting to know a little bit more about you.
Hold on. Oh my god, she was totally asleep. Oh.
There's the doggo.
My little Jenny Poo. Genesis, say hi. She's like, you just woke me up out of a sound.
That is a sleepy dog. Yeah.
All right, Jenny Poo.
All right. Well, can't wait to meet you, JD, at the con, and we'll catch up.
Definitely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for everybody for joining me. Our next chat is going to be tomorrow with Justin Willis. We're going to be talking about it is, let me just look up the full name of it. Head of Class, System Apocalypse Liberty. So it's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern. So join us tomorrow. And then we've got some other guest on Monday, Richie. And I think,
That's me. Hey,
Yeah.
that's me.
Richie
Yeah,
will
look
be
at
on
Rich,
Monday. So,
Jen.
yeah. All right. Thanks,
So-
everybody. Have a good night.
All right, see you guys.